Hey everyone, Mopuvos Gaming here, and today we're playing Final Fantasy again. And in this video, I will cover some of the best-in-class weapons for swords, greatswords, and polearms, along with runners-up for each weapon type. Then I'll show you where to find them and the requirements for obtaining them. Lastly, we'll take a look at how they play and give you some scenarios where they'll excel in certain situations. Now, it's first important to note that these are best used in and found in post-game, since many of them are only obtainable after you beat the game. So if you haven't beaten the game yet, I would advise running through all the chapters so you can maximize your attack rating by getting the top-of-the-line weapons in each class. Then you'll be more prepped for the rest of the end game, which includes the menace dungeons, the hunts, all the other side quests, etc. Now, I'm only covering swords, greatswords, and polearms in this video, but the next video I'll cover the rest of the weapon types: daggers, shields, firearms, and machinery. So if you want to be notified on when that video comes out, I'll throw up a subscribe button on screen for you so you can get that update. Now, just a note, when I say best, I'm talking about attack power. This is just my interpretation of the best. There are many other weapons that might be better for certain scenarios. So this is why I use damage output for best. I also include runners-up for these weapons for these weapon types, since there might be alternative benefits that go beyond just attack power for a certain weapon type. Okay, so first up is swords. Swords are only available to Noctis. Now, they don't have the highest attack power, but the DPS is a little higher because the attack pattern is pretty fast. You can usually get 1 to 2 more sword hits off versus greatswords in most cases. Now, you might think the Ultimate Blade is the best sword, and it actually is pretty good, but the actual best is the Balmung, and it comes in at 446 attack power. Now, the benefits are adding 11 to your max MP, as well as this special trait of decreasing damage the lower your MP is. That's right, decreasing damage. It's negative 4% for every percentage point reduction, and I think it is after 1 to 2 warp strikes this will start to take effect. Now, I love this weapon. This is a great weapon, as long as you keep your MP up. Otherwise, your damage will decrease. It's pretty noticeable, but this special trait is not that special. I think it's kind of a bug. However, I still like it because it does the highest damage out of any sword in its class. So how do you get it? Well, you have to be in Chapter 15, which is the end of the game, and it can be found in the Stalif Grove Menace Dungeon. If you're unfamiliar with Menace Dungeons, those are the vault-looking doors found deep within each of the dungeons. To gain access to the Menace Dungeons, you need to complete the main storyline, then clear the following dungeons: Beluve Mines, Crestholm Channels, Durrell Caverns, and Castlemark Tower. Once these 2 requirements are met, then you can speak to Esma at the Meldashio Hunter HQ checkpoint. This old lady is crazy. Look at her. She just looks crazy. Her voice is so weird. It almost sounds like she has asthma. Anyway, she will then give you several quests as well as a key to open the vault doors in 8 dungeons. Now that you have the key, head over to Stalif Grove, which is about right here on the map. There isn't a dungeon marker for it on my screen, but once you get the quest, you can navigate to it. So once you get there, you'll need to find the Menace Dungeon entrance. It's easy to find if you have the quest marker for it. It'll lead you right to it. Now, with this Menace Dungeon, there's good news and bad news. The bad news, you have to go through approximately 90 to 100 floors. It's a lot. The good news is that once you finish this dungeon, you'll have actually 2 of the best-in-class weapons. So that's the Balmung. The runner-up to the Balmung, like you might suspect, is the Ultimate Blade. It's got 40 less attack power versus the Balmung, but it gives you some pretty cool buffs to go along with its special trait. This is more for a magic build. If you use magic a lot, you get plus 40 to your MP versus the Balmung's plus 11, and you get a plus 30 boost to your magic. The special trait on the Ultimate Blade is that it absorbs elemental energy when you deal the finishing blow to an enemy. It's pretty useful if you want to sacrifice a little bit of attack power for playstyle versatility, more for a rounded out playstyle that uses magic like I mentioned earlier. It's a little tricky to get the special trait to proc because a lot of the times one of the bros kills the enemy instead of you. But it's great. You can get the Ultimate Blade by upgrading your starting weapon, the Engine Blade. Speak to Sid, give him a rusted bit, which can be found right here on the map on the very eastern part of Hammerhead right as you leave the checkpoint and get to the mountain. I'll show that on the video right here. And after you get the Engine Blade 2, you'll have to find a glass gemstone, which if you're this far in, you might already have one of these in your inventory. Give it to Sid. He'll reward you with the Engine Blade 3 after getting one side quest or hunt done and resting. He'll call you after that, and you can go pick it up from him. This last step is a little tough. The best part, so you need to find a sturdy helix horn, not a helix horn, out in the wild. The easiest way to get this is to go on the last Spiracorn's hunt, and this is found in Old Lestalem. I recommend saving your game right before and then targeting the heads of the Spiracorn. There's a lot of videos out there that detail how to do this. You can eat some foods to buff the drop rate. I won't be covering that in this video, but once you have this sturdy helix horn, not the crooked, hand it to Sid, and then you complete 3 side quests or hunts, and then rest at a campsite or lodge. Sid will then call you after, and then you can pick it up. Now, I really love this weapon. I got the Ultima Blade early in the game, and I used it all the way to end game until I got my Balmung. The best part is that you can get it early. That's why I love it. Might have been the best sword had I not spent more time in the story and less time in endgame, but since I beat the game somewhat early in my playthrough, the Balmung won out for me simply because of the higher damage and the attack power. If you're looking for a really strong sword to carry you into the endgame to beat the Menace dungeons in order to get the Balmung, the Ultima is a great weapon, plus it looks really, really cool. If you want pure damage though, Greatswords are great. They give you a boost to your max HP, and these are for either Noct or Gladio, and you'll be Gladio to learn that they give not only the highest attack, but also a very wide swing. So this is great for clearing out a lot of enemies at once, which is kind of the trade-off, right? A little bit slower swing, but lots of attack power with wide attack arcs for multiple enemies. So what's the best Greatsword? The Apocalypse. This thing has an attack power of 597 and gives you a whopping 403 to your max HP. Special trait is that it gives a bonus damage when you have low HP, granting bonus damage under 30% HP. The calculation is this weird equation, damage plus 30 plus 9 times n percent, where n stands for every percentage point reduction under 30%. What does that mean for actual gameplay? Well, you can see some of this footage. I think it's somewhat negligible considering you're likely going to use a potion if you're at 30% or lower, so I don't know if the special trait is all that special. Kind of like a Balmung where you use it more for the attack power than you do for the special traits. So it's more situational, but I do like the Greatsword for the damage potential. Now, how do you get the Apocalypse? This one is in the Beluve Mines Menace dungeon. If you don't want to go all the way through the Beluve Mines, you can also go for the runner-up. There's actually 2 runners-up. The first one is the Dominator with 583 attack power, which is not that much less than the Apocalypse, and a max HP boost of 298, which is 35% less than the Apocalypse. The Dominator is helpful because it's infused with light, which can be helpful against the demons, why did they spell it with an A? And all of those types of enemies. So it also carries 32 dark resistance, which is helpful for fighting the Mat demons. This thing can be found as a collectible west of Cornic Station Alstor after finishing the game. I'll show you how to get that right here. This could be swapped out with the Iron Duke, the second runner-up, which is a collectible in the bottom valley of the 3 valleys after beating the game. If you need the dark resistance and the light infusion, I would go with the Dominator, but if you don't care about that or the HP buff, the Iron Duke is a really good alternative. So that's Greatswords. Last, we have Polearms. Polearms are only for Noct and Ignis, and they're a bit more technical weapon type. Probably the weakest of these 3, but they can be useful in certain situations. If you're doing a lot of aerial attacks where your playstyle includes a lot of air stepping or jump attacking, and Polearms can do consistent damage. They're also great for really long reach on single targets with the poking. So when it comes to the best polearm, Flare is the one, coming in at 337, which is a lot lower than the other 2. This is highest of the category. Now, its special trait is pretty situational. The finishers deal plus 80% damage. How do you do a finisher? Well, you hit the attack button, push it again right as the weapon starts to disappear. It's a little tough to do, but once you practice, you can get it pretty much with ease. The great part about getting this weapon is that it can be obtained as you're going for the Balmung in Staelith Grove Menace. So kind of a twofer. I like this weapon because of the finisher damage bonus. I find that I pull more finishers off than I do just holding the attack button down, so it really fits my playstyle. The runner-up for the Polearms is the Precision Lance, which I don't really recommend getting. It comes in at 266 attack power, which is quite a bit lower than the Flare. This one gives you plus 10 critical rate, 10% critical rate, which is basically the percentage chance that an attack will be a critical. You can find this one from the Totemostro minigame rewards in Altitia or in the Durell Caverns Menace Dungeon. The Durell Caverns Menace Dungeon is kind of long, so bring a lot of items or play for maybe a half hour at Totemostro and you can get 120,000 medals and purchase this bad boy. I actually really don't like it that much. If you're going for the Balmung and Staelith, you might as well finish it and go for the Flare too. The Precision Lance is good if you don't have any other option, but the damage really isn't very good because overall Polearms really aren't the best. Now that you have all three, I would say the best advice for getting these top 3 weapons of their class is to complete the Staelith Grove and the Beluve Mines Menace Dungeons, and that will give you each of them. So there you go, guys. We've gone over the best in class weapon types for swords, great swords, and polearms. If you enjoyed this video or it was helpful to you, please leave it a like because it really helps me out. And please consider subscribing so you can get notified when part 2 of this series is coming out. I'll be covering daggers, shields, firearms, and machinery. I'm also on Twitter at Mopivos Gaming, so check me out there and find out what I'm playing right now. Thanks everyone. Peace out.